What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Modified Rides podcast. To say the last few weeks have been crazy would somewhat be an understatement. So, today's episode, I don't have a guest with me. It's just me trying to play catch up. I've been running crazy all over the country for the last few weeks, so just not really had time to sit down and record like I usually do. I stacked up a few episodes for you guys before I made my trip, but those already were done. And then I did the one trip with Vince en route to SEMA, and I did the one with Adam while I was in Vegas. So where have I been? What have I done? I guess that's the big question. So, of course, you guys know, seen all over the news, my area here in Asheville, North Carolina was absolutely devastated with Hurricane Helene. So spent, I don't know, few weeks helping neighbors rip out sheetrock, throw away furniture, throw away appliances, lost photo albums, everything. Luckily, my end of town where I live really wasn't as bad as some of the other sides of town. Like our neighborhood had quite a few flooded. Of course, no one had flood insurance because we, quote, don't live in a flood zone. So we didn't need flood insurance. But helped them, help the neighbors. Didn't have power for a while, didn't have internet, so I couldn't record like this. So that kind of put me a little behind the ball on everything. But you go to the other side of town. I've discussed on a couple of other recent podcasts. The other side of town, 10 minutes away, 15 minutes away, absolutely gone. I actually had to go today to take some donations. Loaded some donations in the trailer for Showdown in the Valley that they'd gathered over the show this past weekend to a couple donation sites. And man, I absolutely forgot how bad that part of town was. Yeah, I was there a week ago when my buddy Adam, that was the last podcast, was in town, and showed him around. And you just, even a week later, you forget how devastating it is. I mean, there's people sleeping in tents. It's snowed a couple times since we had the hurricane, but people sleeping in tents, campers. It's super sad and heartbreaking. But that put me a little behind. Then I had to get the Tahoe finished for SEMA. We had a little bit of tire fitment issues. Had to scramble, the last inning trying to make things work. I actually had the wheels and tires put on Monday. That would be what is that? I know I'm here looking, but I guess that would be Monday, the 28th of October. We had the wheels and tires put on the Tahoe. Got it clean. Well, actually, it was already clean. Got it. Got some photos done of it and the Sierra together. Piled up first thing Wednesday morning. Made the 3-day trip to Las Vegas. That's where the podcast with Vince Robinson come in. I think we had a good time with that episode. Something a little different. I know there's a little bit of road noise. Not sure what your guys' impressions was of that podcast. Let me know. Hit me up, text me, hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Even reply to the video if you're watching this on YouTube. Let me know what you think of that road style. That's just something I want to try out again. Different camera setup. Make sure the mics were right. Did that en route. So we did the 3-day trip to Vegas. Got there Friday, let me look at my calendar again here. That would be Friday, November 1st. So we got to miss Halloween. And unfortunately, Vince's favorite holiday is Halloween. So he got stuck Halloween riding in a car for like 18 hours, SUV for 18 hours that day. So oops, sorry, Vince. But we got to Vegas on November 1st, got there late that evening. Got some stuff done while we were there. Got the Tahoe cleaned up, hit up Shine Money Tobin, and got the Tahoe washed. Got it placed with TIS wheels. We did SEMA for the week. Then the next week, I actually stayed in Vegas with Adam Madrigal, who was the last podcast, which that was 2 weeks ago at this point. My goal when I started this podcast was to do one weekly. I didn't want to put gaps and all that, but all this info leading up is to say why I missed last week with the hurricane, the traveling, SEMA, being, gone across country. I missed a week. So don't judge me. Don't hate me, but still keep subscribing, still keep keep checking out the podcast, audio, video form, whatever your favorite way to do it is. Well, like I said, stayed that week with Adam, got that podcast recorded, and man, me and Adam could have gone on for hours and hours. That's to this date, it's my longest podcast. And I probably could have gone 10 times that. Me and Adam go way back, the stories, the stuff that I've done because of him, stuff I've built because he's like, fool, you need to do this instead. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and listen to the last podcast with Adam Madrigal. It was a blast for sure hearing his stories, but could have gone on and on with that one. Might have him on at a later date, discuss some other stuff he's working on. Well, then me and him took off to Dino's. You know, he lives in Las Vegas or outside of Las Vegas. So we, made the 4 or 5 hour trip, whatever it was, to Glendale, Arizona, did Dino's. It's my first time ever hitting Dino's. And wow, the amount of vendors that were there. I didn't realize there was that many companies that made frames for C10s and Blazers and OBS stuff. Like there's probably a dozen frame companies there, wheel companies, engine companies, suspension companies. That was such a blast at that show. We spent all day on Friday just walking the vendor area, hardly even got to see any of the actual show area part, but I guess technically it's not a show. It's, it's more of a cruise in, cars and coffee type deal. There's no registration, there's no judging, there's no spectator fee. Just show up and have a good time, check out some cool, GMC, Chevrolets. There's a couple Fords mixed in that were kind of cool, but I'm sure they got razzed quite a bit by the C10 community. But had a blast. Made the 3-day trip back home. Got home. Gosh, that would be, keep referring back to my calendar. Everything's been a blur. I got back on Monday, November 18th. So at that point, I was gone 20 days. Come home, had to run some errands, get some laundry done after being gone for so long. Took Adam around, showed him some of the hurricane devastation that's still around. And his exact words on that were, it looks like it's a war zone that happened 10 years ago and towns were just abandoned. Like it's still almost terrifying looking at it. But did that and then immediately stepped right back into Showdown in the Valley. Helped Mitchell, Chris, and Shane, took over their social media. Not sure if you follow their show. I took over their social media for the weekend, doing some stories, doing some videos for those guys, trying to take some off their plate. Such a good show. They actually had to move the show, like we discussed on Vince's podcast, had to move the show because of the hurricane. Not the weekend the hurricane hit, but the next weekend was their scheduled date. Had big plans, had concerts planned to be involved. No one had power. No one had water. No one had internet. Hardly anybody had cell phone service at that time. So they opted to push it out. It just happened to be this past weekend. Snowed a little bit Friday morning. That was cool. Show up and be a little snow on the ground. I think it's probably one of my only couple shows I've ever been to that there's been snow. It wasn't a lot. It was just the grass, hoods and windshields of vehicles that were parked overnight. Kind of cool. Made for some cool pictures and stuff, but hit their show. So now I'm just now getting settled in from 3 weeks gone to the West Coast, Showdown the Valley. Oh, wow. Now it's Thanksgiving. So that tells you how my life's going. But that's another reason I didn't have anybody on this week. I didn't want to leave you guys without another podcast. Like I said, I try to stay consistent. I've got a huge list of people I'm trying to get on. Actually picked up a few guys while at SEMA that said, man, let me get on the podcast. I've got some people I've shot features for recently. Trying to get on. One of them's Mario Addison, did a feature for him for C10 Builder's Guide, played in the NFL for 12 years. Couldn't tell you what position that dude plays or played. All I know is he's a massive gearhead, tons of cars, tons of trucks, big horsepower stuff, big wheel stuff. Got him coming on, picked up a couple other show promoters while we were at SEMA, trying to get them on. Just trying to play catch up at this point. So I completely apologize for you diehard listeners for not having an episode last week. It's just life. That's the only way to put that. It's just life. So now that I'm back home, I can catch up. I got a huge stack over here of receipts from the trip, throw into QuickBooks, got to get that done. I've got a huge stack of photos and videos and articles to write. Like I did so much on the West Coast that now I'm trying to play catch up now that I'm home. So luckily for automotive detailing, this is my slow time of year due to the holidays, between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I will say Christmas, not holiday. This is Christmas. Well, it's kind of slow time. Everybody's shuffling with parties and events, and, the weather's kind of shitty, but I'm a little slower on that. So this is the time I sit here in the office or, on the couch with the pups, whatever, trying to get caught up on all this. So be prepared for you guys that follow my personal Braille Images pages on social media. Be prepared to be bombarded with photos and videos over the next little bit. Hell, I've got multiple memory cards, drone memory cards, video memory cards, camera memory cards that I've got to get caught up on. I got some Mecum stuff that I'd shot in that 3 days I was home that I've got to get caught up on for that client. So, as I always ask, let me know what you guys want to hear about on the podcast. Let me know who you want to have on. Hit me up, man. Let me know what guests you want to have on. If there's certain topics you want to discuss, this one's just going to be a quick little, where's Waldo kind of thing. And, I'll be Waldo for those few weeks, but, got a lot of stuff planned coming up. As many of y'all seen, I've put Project Stockish for sale. Not going to count my chickens till, till they come home or whatever that, country saying is. Supposedly I got a guy that's picking it up the day this podcast comes out. We'll see. All that's going to do is open up things for a new project. I built Basic Betty, the Tahoe for my wife, Kristen. I built it to match the Sierra. Well, after going to SEMA, I was like, man, I kind of want another project. I looked at, do I do something lifted again? Do I do a truck, a car? I enjoy the build process. I think more than the actual vehicle. Yeah, it's a blast to roll around and it's in something cool. You get the thumbs up, all that. But for me, tracking down the parts, the what parts work with what components, what colors, to make all that work. That's my favorite part of the process. I wouldn't say I get bored easy, but I think when the vehicles are done, I'm like, let's do something different. Well, SEMA for 23, the Sierra was at, I had 6 tech articles. It actually comes out as a full feature in the February issue of Street Trucks this year. So February, what year is this? 25? I forgot what year it was. I'm too far behind. So February 25 issue of Street Trucks should have the feature that I'd shot and wrote for Project Stockish. So at this point, without completely redoing it, I'm at a stopping point. Yeah, I can enjoy it, but it's like, if I'm able to move it on to someone else who's going to enjoy it, and go from there, it lets me have a new project. After the podcast that me and Adam did a couple weeks ago, we spent quite a bit of time talking about, the stuff he's working on. He's got, 3 C10s in the shop. He's got an old Ford getting ready to come in the shop to get some, suspension work and engine work and all that done. And, I've always liked the square body K5 Blazers. There's something about it. I mean, I know like right now, the 67 to 72 round bodies are like all the rage, but they're also all the money. So something about a squished down Blazer, rumbly engine, new drive line, new suspension. We're thinking about tearing into that. I'm looking at one of those, a 73 to 87. I've honestly been one of those guys that's anti patina, but there's a lot of work that goes into those. So I figure, why not do full suspension underneath it, powder coat paint, bed line, make everything underneath it right. The brakes, do coilovers, do a performance engine in it, do all new interior, make it fresh, leave the paint. I mean, yeah, I detail, I polish vehicles, all that, but I kind of want something I can just play with. I mean, I had to tape the Tahoe up to drive to SEMA to keep rock chips off of it. Yeah, I picked up a few coming back, so I didn't tape it up, but the front of the Sierra's got all the, PPF on it. So that helped keep the chips off it. But I think I kind of want something I can just play in, throw the dogs in, take Fred for a ride. Wilma don't do so well. She gets a little bit car sick. So, something I can throw Fred in, not worry about, go to a few shows, still be trustworthy. So we'll see what's what. So keep an eye on my Braille Images pages. We'll see what transpires. Once the truck goes away, if this guy pans out, it is what it is. If not, it's not meant to be. And we'll see if someone else pops up. I've had quite a few offers, but this guy's been back and forth with me. If it goes to Atlanta where he's at, then some of you guys in the Atlanta area might see it. But kind of excited about possibly doing a new project. We'll definitely discuss that once we lock things in, get the Sierra to its new home, get all that signed away, find a start vehicle and start lining up companies and stuff. Then we might do a couple podcasts on the build process. I plan to do some video stuff, of the build. So we'll see how that goes. But thanks for you guys understanding the missing week in there. I try to stay consistent, so hopefully that won't happen again, but how life happens sometimes. But thanks for you guys listening. Hit me up. Let me know who you want to see, what you want to see talk, or what you want to hear talked about. And, we'll keep this podcast going. I still have tons of shirts left. I bought a whole bunch at first. I'm not really pushed out that much with everything going on with the hurricane and SEMA and the travel and all that, but still have plenty of shirts. I've still got a few of these Braille Images hats left. Hit me up if you want one. Once those are gone, I'll do another design or whatever. But let me know what you want. And I guess we'll see you guys next week.